I'm Brent Adams. I've waited for years for a people's movement to spark, and once it did, I wanted to be front and center with my camera. Christopher Doyen, also known as Commander X, the notorious anonymous internet hacker, shot and logged 66 discrete videos to YouTube.
1 week strong and going. We have held our ground. It's day 11 of Occupy Santa Cruz. Day number 12. Wake you guys up? Okay.
But they said tonight. They said tonight.
Santa Cruz Police Department cruisers here. Hey, anybody want to say what's going on?
What's going on?
Occupy Santa Cruz successfully occupied both city and county properties with working groups and general assemblies meeting daily. The camp had more than 200 tents housing both activists and homeless folks. There was a library, medical, conflict resolution, and kitchen areas. There was a fully stocked kitchen with many different people volunteering to cook and clean. The generosity of the community at large was bountiful. There was some early confusion as to whether the homeless folks were functioning part of the occupation and should be fed with occupied food, but that changed once it became clear that they were a larger part of the occupation. An occupation is as much about food as it is about tents.
You know, people want to help. There are restaurants that are helping, there are people who show up and bring, you know, surprises that you can't feed everybody. There are people who sign on to do a dinner, particularly at the General Assemblies. We've had, like I call it, a couple of Martha Stewart Food Network moments where people went all out for feeding people.
This experiment in community was happening in cities all over the country, and for the time being, it was working.
Yeah, it's going great for me, and I guess everybody else too. We haven't had any problems, nothing too serious. We're still here. Sometimes there's a little bit of chaos, miscommunication, but every day we come out here, you know, together and we live together. Communication gets better as we get to know each other, you know, and that's really how we're building our bridges, you know. I wish we could just start talking to the cops more, and maybe we could build a bridge between them, you know, but that hasn't happened. Communicating so hard nowadays with others, it seems like, and that's why I'm glad this is here, because kind of gets people back together.
Going to a General Assembly in a bit here.
With one of the working groups?
Yeah. The Police Interactions Working Group.
Okay. What's the flyer?
Just an informational recommendations that the working group has put together for people in the camp to have a unified response.
Now to the Occupy Santa Cruz movement. Today, the city of Santa Cruz set a deadline for all of the campers to move out. For the last couple of weeks, about 100 campers have been squatting in San Lorenzo Park. This week, a county parks worker was assaulted, and the complaints about the mess are piling up.
Occupy Santa Cruz is now being ordered to vacate Santa Cruz. Complaints have been mounting as Occupy Santa Cruz and the homeless have been camping at San Lorenzo Park. Now today the city issued a permit to the group with a deadline to move on by noon of Wednesday, November 16th. Despite that order, Occupy Santa Cruz plans to push forward.
We're actually working on a permit for the group, which will probably have a deadline in there in terms of a date by which we expect the occupation to no longer be there.
There's really two different groups setting up here at San Lorenzo Park. On this side, there are the homeless encampment, and on the other side, there's the Occupy Santa Cruz campers. But police don't differentiate between either group. They're both camping illegally.
In all honesty, I think that some of the people who are with Occupy Santa Cruz are homeless, and I think some of the people who are homeless are not causing any problems and are contributing to our cause.
Some folks have criticized police for not moving quick enough.
We have to respect the ability of individuals to voice their opinion and protest, but we also have to monitor the impact that it's having on the overall community.
Now that Occupy Santa Cruz has been served notice to vacate, they're going to discuss their options during their General Assembly.
Whether or not we want to maintain that occupation there, or whether we'd like to maybe go some other places so that we can refocus on kind of what our goals are. To a certain extent, we haven't been able to focus as much as we would like to have because of some of the issues that have come up.
Now, police hope by issuing the park permit with the November 16th deadline, that will allow them to dismantle the camp in a timely manner, and Occupy Santa Cruz members say they'll abide by their own nonviolent mandate. Dan, Aaron.
All right, thank you, Phil. The new permit also requires the campers to provide portable toilets and bars them from using the restrooms in the county building or even the ones at San Lorenzo Park. Also limits them to 50 tents. Currently, there are about 100 tents set up.
I rarely took my video camera into the main camp out of respect for the campers. Used cameras were prevalent and made those camping feel like they were under constant scrutiny. The activists didn't like cameras around because they expected a bit of anonymity. Occupy Santa Cruz was constantly wary of undercover cops and news reporters, but actual police officers were a regular sight in the camp. When police were present, I was afforded a bit of cover to videotape, but it didn't help suspicions about my identity. The guy I'm following here is a city parks officer who normally patrols the river area and is familiar with many of the folks camping here. Every time an officer is in the camp, they are surveilling and collecting data to use against the camp and Occupy Santa Cruz.
Restricting the size of our assembly, and you are telling us to leave, and you are telling us that we're dirty, and you're telling us that we shouldn't be there.
There's a difference between being able to say what you want to say, which you can at any time, anywhere, and having an impact, just a real practical impact, practicalities, practical realities, practical concerns.
Will you send the police to come take us, remove us from the park?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Bathrooms have been closed off to people. Why aren't you working with us?
There has been a lot of defecation, things like that have been found around the park.
If we have 51 tents, will you send the police to remove one of them?
I don't know.
And what is your choice?
I don't know. Well, the police department has discretion.
This office does have discretion over whether or not those laws are enforced and the police are sent to remove us from the park. This office does have discretion.
It does.
Your office has the power to protect our right to peaceably assemble in the park and talk with each other, build community, share food.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's something that, police does all the time for people. I mean, if somebody were to show up there and try to, do you harm in some way, the police department would be responsible to try to protect.
We are not asking for the police to protect us. We are asking for you to not send the police after us.
The bathrooms in the park are closed at night, and that is a serious health and safety problem, I think, if a lot of people are there. Why can't you have the authority to open them? Do you not?
It's torture. It's torture. You prohibit us from using the public bathrooms in the permits, and yet require us to get bathrooms on the street, which we already have one.
You could open those bathrooms in the park tonight if you want.
Yeah, I don't know what the hours are. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I answered you honestly. I don't know. I mean, I can look into it. I don't know for sure because I don't know why they're closed.
We would like a response on that, but regardless, our assembly is not about going to the bathroom. Our assembly is about free speech. It's about building community. It's about self-determination, and we will be there as long as we want to.
If you say we're unsanitary and you are locking up bathrooms, it is really the city that is promoting unsanitary conditions. And it especially affects women.
Why did you deliver to us on City of Santa Cruz letterhead photographs of shit? Isn't that a little perverted, a little disgusting, a little offensive?
No, I mean it was just to show you what people, what the staff has found.
The discussion yesterday at the city manager's office and with Don Lane had to do with the First Amendment. I wanted to speak to the Fourth Amendment, which has to do with the permit as well, and the photographs of human, at least alleged human feces that were given to the entire General Assembly, including grandmothers, great-grandmothers, children, everyone. Since somebody was invading the privacy of the campers with a camera to take pictures of feces, I suspect there must be other photos showing the feces coming from the rectums. And we'd like to see those photos since you've already violated our values, our principles, and everything else.
Sir?
Thank you, sir.
Your time's up. That concludes oral communications. The council will now adjourn to the next regular schedule.
I want to say, sure. I think it's really important. First of all, I think it's really important for folks to know that oral communications normally is a time when we just listen. And so I know it's sometimes frustrating when you come up and make suggestions and questions and demands and don't get it.
Hold on, listen. We're not going to have anybody shout out. Robert, you've been warned. The next time you speak out, I'm going to have you removed from the chamber. We listen to you. I think we expect you to listen to us. Okay.
So as I was saying, it is frustrating in this context then, because we as some of you who follow the council know, we can't take action on items, suggestions that come up during oral communications.
All right, so that's ask the police to try to figure out who it was that yelled out. They're warned if you can figure out who they are, and then please, I'm going to ask you again, if we're going to have a civil dialogue that so many of you asked for, this is one of the ways that we do it.
So as I was saying, we do have a city park that is genuinely being damaged. And
all right.
I listened during the entire time without interrupting anyone, and that would really be appreciated if I could just complete my comments without any outbursts. There's porta potty parked right on Ocean Street, and for some unknown reason, 2 different times that I've gone there, it's been locked. The permit is a device that the city has to make its requests to the people in the park about how to use the park in an appropriate way. More than 2 weeks ago, I was invited to come down to the steps of the courthouse to meet with a committee of Occupy Santa Cruz that was to deal with external communications, so that I might facilitate some positive communication between the city and the Occupy Santa Cruz group. I was invited to come meet with a committee over at the courthouse steps to talk about how there might be a liaison. I came to that meeting, we had a good discussion, and I met with that little committee for 2 hours. I said I'd like to, see if we could create a permanent set of contacts. I gave my phone number, I gave my contact information. I said, after you guys decide kind of what you'd like to do, come on, call me back. He never called me back. And then when I called him just to check what's going on and left a message, he still did not call me back. So that's part of your challenge too. And I understand because you have a consensus process, it's very different. You've decided to be an unstructured, consensus-based group. But the reality is that makes it very difficult for me as an individual who has some role in representing the city. But that means there aren't leaders and there aren't representatives. It's very difficult for anyone to speak for the whole group. And that presents a real challenge for us. We need to know who we can talk to who actually represents the group. Because I came and met with, right in your place, with people to try and start that conversation. And I've been down to the General Assembly last night. I've been to a couple of other ones earlier on.
Well, Mr. Lang, if we look into it, can we reapproach you with it?
Absolutely. That's why I'm coming over at 6 today.